We all have wacky and crazy aunts and uncles and some people's parents and grandpas and grandmas and second cousins, right? But Roseanne Barr really embodies sort of America's insane aunt, like America's insane grandmother. And this interview with Triggernometry really embodies that, where if you just took all of the craziest views in the far-right MAGA world and just mixed them up, but then added a little extra spice and then that was a famous celebrity, then you get Roseanne Barr. She was a huge sitcom person, actress, and now she's a comedian, supposedly. And she is funny, but not in a comedian way, just in a sort of like, I'm going to laugh at the insanity because it's easier that way. Before we get to this interview, I always like, just for our new viewers who don't know anything about Roseanne Barr, to introduce you to her with my favorite clips of her. And by favorite, I mean most scary, starting with this one.
If we don't stop these horrible communists, do you hear me? I'm asking you to hear me. Stalinist, communists, with a huge helping of Nazi fascists thrown.
She's describing the left, liberals. Biden. This is Biden.
in. Plus, wanting a caliphate. To replace every Christian democracy on earth now.
Yep. So it's Joe Biden.
It's Joe Biden.
If you forgot, that's what Joe Biden was. All of those things, according to Roseanne Barr. And then there was this iconic moment.
They overthrew the constitutional republic of the United States of America. And then they covered it up with their January 6th bullshit. With their insurrection. Because the first thing President Trump did, God bless.
Every time we watch that one, my blood pressure, I can feel it rising. Oh, I just want to do a quick announcement to any of my family members who I've said are off the deep end. You're not. Okay, I'm sorry for saying that. I'm glad that you're my wacky relative. Actually, my relatives are wonderful. Okay, but this really contextualizes it because she is somebody's aunt, somebody's grandma, somebody's mother, and that is scary. That's scary. And last one.
You know they eat babies. That is not bullshit.
Listen, folks. Roseanne. It's because they taste like chicken. All right. So that gives you a sense. This is Roseanne Barr. Are those her most wild? Yeah. I mean, probably there's more, and we've seen them. But now let's look at her in a little bit more of a long form, sitting down with the guys over at Triggernometry, and they kind of mostly just let her go, let her talk. And there are moments where they're just silently staring, stunned. But the thing that kind of bothers me is she believes the stuff you're going to hear her say. But they are watching someone who's just in the brain. Something's a little funky.
A brain.
Finally. So it's a little funky. And thank you, CPC. And they're acting like this is a bit. This is not a bit, what she's doing here. This is her actual belief system. Okay, let's listen.
Because I like that this is a Christian republic, because Jews do really well and are protected in Christian democracies all through history, with some bleeps. But some
Could call it that. Yeah.
well, I mean, but then you have to look at what happened. They overthrew the Republic to get to the Nazism. And I don't want that here. And I think that that's what they're working on.
Who's they? Who are you talking about? Who's funding
The
these
owners
people?
of the world.
The owners of the world. Who's that?
You want me to say who the owners of the world are? This is where everyone starts asking me. I love this, that you would ask me that. I might have to have a cigarette. It makes me nervous to say who they are. First of all, I've been saying it for 30 years, and people, when I tell them, their eyes just go dead. Because they cannot handle the truth. Remember that Jack Nicholson movie?
A lot of stalling here. Oh, I love how she looks surprised when they say, so who is they? Because remember, she's coming from a MAGA right-wing perspective. She's huge. And at some point in this interview, she said, I just wanted Trump so badly. And she did. There was that clip we also covered of her being like, oh, I touched Trump and it was so good. I loved it. And the Secret Service were like, stop. And I was like, just let me get out. So she's a Trumper. And she's saying the owners of the world are trying to make us all the thing, communist and Nazi and the caliphate and all of it mixed around. And those owners of the world are against Trump, I guess. But who are the owners of the world? And it's so strange where they go, you want me to say it? You want me to tell you? Yeah, that's kind of how that works.
You can't handle the truth. You don't want it. But it's so obvious that I just will say it. The owners of the world are the royals, kings, queens, dukes, duchesses, imams, popes, wizards that own every single dime on earth and bank at the Bank of International Settlements. That's the owners of the world who decide every war and arm both sides because they make money. They're arms dealers. They're Nazi arms dealers. They also make prisons. They also make, poisons. They're invested in depopulation. The WEF, WHO, all those bullshit things out of the UN, they need to depopulate this planet of useless eaters, which they call us, because they have no place to ride their horses.
It's not a bit, don't laugh. I think she's going to keep going on this royals thing. It's the royals. They're superhuman, she says. I think that the person who really wants to Naziify the world is the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle. I think Harry and Meghan are the ones so they can ride their horses.
And conduct their fox hunts or their people hunts or whatever it is they do that we all really know about but ignore. Mm-hmm. The reason that the vampire stories are so popular, take a look at that too. It's evil incarnate and the owners of the world embody it. And the world is going exactly like they want it to go, like they planned it for generations to go.
Rosa?
And I intend always as a Jewish girl to be a wrench in that works.
I think you're going to do it. I think you're going to stop the superhuman royals from their plans. You, Roseanne Barr, former sitcom star.
I want to be. What? Boy, did I get off. I love hearing myself. My kids won't listen to me anymore, so I have to do interviews so I can tell people how I feel. Nobody listens to me. But yeah, kings and queens, okay? Does that register that people who are superhuman exist in our gestalt? We go, oh, the royals. There's going to be a royal wedding. The royals. They have royal blood. They've handed down their royal blood and they've owned everything for centuries because they're royals.
Yeah, so let's see. No, that's not, the world is not run by royals. And they end up bringing up, in the UK, they really have a pretty diminished authority now. And she goes, Well, actually, let's keep watching that because that part is funny. But then I'll get to what the takeaway is here about these sorts of delusions, conspiratorial delusions of what all... You're probably wrong if you think the entire analysis of world events can be answered in a few words. It can't. So the whole, everything has been planned and coordinated and controlled. Everything happening right now in the US and every other country is because of the royals and wizards.
The royals.
We have royals in Britain. They're really not very powerful or impressive and definitely not superhuman.
Yes, they are.
What
Well, I don't know how you argue with that. I don't know how you argue with that.
about Harry?
Well, this generation is.
That's my point.
No.
Okay, so, whoa. Before I play this next clip, let me see if this is the right one here. The thing that goes on is that people really struggle, I've said it before, to deal with the complexities and the stress of the world, which I understand. Why would this terrorist group take random people's lives here? Why would this government take random people's lives here? Why would this pandemic happen? How could nature do that to us? Why would people rape? Why would certain powerful people exploit their power? Why would problems go unsolved for generations, right? Those questions, it hurts. And so the conspiracies, even though you should judge them and you should oppose them, I have some sympathy for why people get wrapped up in them because it often gives a very simple answer to the most complicated questions that exist, because none of our analyses come down to just it's because of, and some people on the left have similar things. They just place all the blame on figures on the right of it's all of our ills are because of X.
It was the deep state 100%.
Right, the deep state. Well, X, Y, Z, it's these things. I don't mean X, the platform, but because of these variables. And it's never that. There's all of these competing and complicated and intertwined and sometimes contradictory interests at play in the world, and the human nature, and then the advancement of our consciousness, and then our morality shifting, and then certain moralities being detached from other people's moral compass, and those competing, and then religions impacting this, and then geopolitics impacting that. And that's just difficult to understand. So one group, the deep state royals, or any of the other ones you hear, give a simple answer to that complicated question.
And I intend always, as a Jewish girl, to be a rank.
Oh, and that's the clip we already watched. So let's jump forward to this next one.
But and this will sound crazy, but you should listen to other people who put it better than me about how we came back under the control of the British Crown in the late 1800s, and how we still are. And so is Canada. Little more than colonies till Trump. Our tax money goes to them. The bar, the American bar, is a British accredited whatever. We are still under the control of the City of London. And
so those little nuggets to help you decipher, do I even need to worry about? If someone's whole conspiracy about the history of the world, she's saying it's always been these people with royal blood who are superhuman, who've been controlling everything. If it all ends, if the story ends or the climax of the story is Trump, probably they're not right. If the superhuman part didn't cue you, going, they were controlling everything, including the United States, until Trump. If you think that Donald John Trump is going to be the climax of the global story of superhuman royals control, probably you've placed a big, complex conspiracy around justifying your support for someone you just wanted to support.
And if what's her name had won, I'd probably be.
What's her name? Really? I was patient through the superhuman conspiracies. I was patient through the wizards and the vampires. But say her name. Please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate this show. Also, we don't necessarily need the hand to be in the shirt. Roseanne.
But we were really headed for it. And if what's her name had won, I'd probably be in prison.
Really? Why would you have been in prison?
Because I would have said something nasty about the Democrats.
Do you really think that we would have been at that point where you would have said something nasty about the Democrats and that would have mean a prison sentence?
I wouldn't doubt it, depend on how brave I got. Yeah. There's already putting everybody else in prison.
So Trump is actually the one directing investigations into his political foes, but it's interesting because that's another little cue of probably this person's not completely on their rocker, right? They might be off the rocker. That's the phrase, right? You're off your rocker, yeah. Which is kind of a weird phrase. But is if they're also a main character in it and they shouldn't be. Like, Roseanne Barr, you think Kamala Harris, first of all, she wasn't going to go after her political opponents. Trump's the main one who cued that he was going to do that, and then he did. But you think that Kamala Harris, in this complicated world with all the issues that she would have been facing as president, and all of her political enemies, that if she wanted to go after them, she would have a list, that Roseanne Barr would be on that list? Roseanne Barr. I think you might have main character syndrome. That's funny. The superhuman royals, I've been a wrench in their plans. That's why they would have needed to put me in jail. I don't think if they existed, they would have even thought of you.
Sound very relieved that President Trump won the last election.
Hell yeah, I prayed for it every day for 7 years or more. I've done everything I could to help him be, for him, because I know exactly what needs to be done, and he's doing it. And I wish he would toughen up a little bit, get some balls there. Come on, Trump.
That is a critique of Trump that I have never heard, that he doesn't have enough balls.
He's got to get his balls back.
What? Where's it? Hang on.
Follow-up question. Where did his balls go? Where was the last time you saw them? Did you put it in the keys counter? Did you put your balls in the keys counter?
I don't even know.
I don't know why I love the way that this host said, I've never heard someone say he doesn't have enough balls. It's like, I don't know if that's the phrase. Enough.
That is a critique of Trump that I have never heard, that he doesn't have enough balls.
He's got to get his balls back.
What? Where's it? Hang on. Really?
Mm-hmm. I've told him that myself many times. In person, I don't.
Mr. President! Mr. President! Get your balls back! That'll be a crazy phone call. Hi, it's Roseanne. Hello? That's kind of a hard thing. It's an accent to switch into after the Roseanne one. You're the best comedian. Everyone says I said best comedian. So good to hear you. Hear your voice. Yeah, I love you. I love you, Trump. I love when I touched your body. Okay. What were you calling about? Get your balls back. I think I saw them on the keys counter. That'd be a crazy phone call.
die.
What do you think he needs to do that he's not doing?
As I've said over many years, where's the fucking arrest of these criminals that were traitors to our country and to our troops and to our people? I think it's a traitorous act that our Congress is allowing our veterans to sleep on the street. That is traitorous. And they should be charged. They should all be punished. People should be called out for their being traitors to our troops and our people and our parents that sent their kids over there to fight and die for them.
Yeah, it infuriates me as well, what she's saying. And who's currently dismantling the VA right now? It's not Kamala. Who is more willing to invest more money in veteran services? It's Democrats over Republicans. Even though, yeah, it's a crying shame. I don't know, you can't put people in jail for policy failures, but it's a betrayal of our troops that so many of them are on the streets than this.
My own kids, I'd be like, why are you licking your feet? You just were out in the mud.
Yeah.
Why would you want to lick you know what I mean? It is a mother thing.
It is.
I want to gather everybody, make them see something together so they will behave correctly. I can't let go of it. It must be a mom thing. I just wish people would let reality really in there deep and see it. See reality for once instead of what you're told to see. See the real reality. It's pretty amazing when you see it. Like when I see...
Yeah, this is sad. This is sad. But she's a public figure. So we have to talk about it. You gotta let reality in there deep. What? How deep? You gotta let it in real deep. Then you'll see what I see. What do you see? Vampires. Mom? I'm gonna go lick my feet now. I think that's why your kids were licking your feet. you turned them crazy. I think that's what happened, Roseanne. They're like, if mom thinks there's wizards and superhuman royals controlling everything, then I must just eat my feet.
Doge. I'm like, this is friggin' amazing. This is messianic. I think this is really...
Messianic? Of or by the Messiah? Is that what she means? Yes. If Jesus came back, it would be in the form of Elon.
Amazing. This is messianic. I think this is really a new thing for the world and for America. To go to where you're going to actually have accountability for the money. That thrills me. And
yeah, but that's not what ended up happening. And Doge was the institution that was in part dismantling the VA. Gah, so sad. And the reason it's relevant too, because she is a famous embodiment of a lot of people just in their life, just random people you pass by. That's the craziest thing ever about living in this country today, which is that you'll be at the store or something and a lady like her will drop something and go, oh, here, because I'm a good guy. I'll pick it up and I'll say, here you go. Let me put this back in your car. How are you doing? Etc. The weather. And then you start a conversation. You're thinking, this is just such a pleasant woman. Just so pleasant. This could be my aunt. This is great. Come on, let's go walk. Let's go check out together. Let's keep talking, right? You're checking out and you're walking to the parking lot. You're going to help them load their groceries. And then all of a sudden they start saying, oh yeah, that Joe Biden eats babies to harvest their adrenochrome to make him stay youthful. Which failed in his case, but other people do it and it works. And you're like, wait, but you are so normal and then not. So then you take all the groceries and you put them in the trash. I did that. I just picked up all the groceries and started chucking them. No, you finish loading the grocery thing and mostly the weird thing is, even though I do this for a living and I like debating, a lot of times in those settings, I'm just like, yeah, okay. I don't have the energy to go, well, did you know that that's not true? Have you ever thought of that? It's like between here and the car, am I going to be able to convince them this whole thing's fake? No. So I'll just go, oh, really? So Biden, he's like eternally youthful because of the adrenochrome. Interesting. What about like all the age? No, nothing. Okay, go. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. All right, bye. Scary world. Tell me your thoughts in the comments.